Welcome to the Deep Dive, the show where we really get into complex topics, pull out the key bits of knowledge, and lay them out so you're up to speed fast.
And today, we are diving headfirst into rugby.
That's right, a dedicated rugby obsession deep dive. Our mission today is to unpack some really quite compelling insights from a top voice in the game.
We're talking about former All Black forward James Parsons.
Exactly, and specifically his thoughts on the South African Springboks. We're looking into why he reckons the Springboks are, and this is his phrase, a street ahead already as they head into the Rugby Championship. And this isn't just about, the wins they picked up recently. It's about what Parsons saw in how they played in that mid-year series, something that makes them look, well, honestly, ominously good.
That's a strong statement.
It really is. And hey, if you find yourself getting drawn into this and you want more deep dives like this one into the world of rugby, definitely make sure you subscribe to Rugby Obsession wherever you get your podcasts. You really don't want to miss out.
Good call.
Okay, so let's get into it. The Springboks form.
Right. So the background here is those mid-year games. They had 3 pretty comfortable wins, didn't they? 2 against Italy, 1 against Georgia.
Yeah, dominant wins, really.
Dominant wins. Now, James Parsons on the Aotearoa Rugby pod, he kind of flagged this up. He even joked, I think, that he felt like they were turning into a bit of a cheerleading squad for the Springboks.
Huh. You can imagine why, maybe.
Exactly, because of the sheer quality he was seeing. Even though, some might look at the opposition, Italy and Georgia, and think, okay, well, how much does that really tell us?
Right. It's easy to dismiss those scorelines sometimes.
But Parsons looked past that. He wasn't just impressed. He saw something fundamental.
And that's the core of it, isn't it? It wasn't just that they won, but how. What was it that made a former All Black like Parsons sit up and say, okay, these guys look ominously good? What made him say a street ahead?
Well, what's really interesting is he went straight for the hard data, the stats behind the game. And the absolute key thing for him, it was the Springboks' dominant tackle stats.
Okay, dominant tackles. Explain that a bit. It's not just making a tackle, right?
No, exactly. It's about the impact of the tackle. Are you stopping the attacker dead or even driving them backwards, winning that collision decisively?
Right.
And the Springboks, over those 3 games, were averaging somewhere between 10 and 15% dominant tackles.
10 to 15%. Okay, that sounds high,
Yeah.
but I need some context. How does that stack up against, other top international teams?
Well, this is where it gets, frankly, a bit startling. Parsons pointed out that other big teams think the Lions, the Wallabies, the All Blacks, even France during that same sort of period, they were clocking in at under 3% dominant tackles.
Under 3%, compared to 10 or 15.
Yeah, so the Springboks rate is like 5 times higher.
Yeah.
Not just a little bit better, it's a massive difference, a huge gap in that collision dominance.
Wow. Okay, 5 times. That's genuinely staggering. So what does that actually do on the pitch? How does winning the collision that often, that dominantly, actually change the game? What's the effect on the opposition?
Well, Parsons described it as creating an immaculate platform for everything else the Springboks want to do.
Immaculate platform. Okay.
Yeah. So when you're consistently making those dominant hits, you're killing the opposition's momentum instantly. You're forcing them backwards. It means your own defense can reset faster. It puts huge pressure on the halfbacks.
And it must give the book's own playmakers more time, better ball.
Exactly. Better ball, cleaner ball.
Yeah.
It stops the opposition kicking on their own terms because they're always under pressure. And crucially, it leads to turnover ball and fatiguing the opposition.
Right, because every carry becomes a massive effort just to stay level, let alone go forward.
Precisely. And he gave a really stark example from the Georgia game. He said Georgia managed only 14% lightning quick ball.
14%. And just for listeners, lightning quick ball is basically getting the ball back out of the ruck super fast. Yeah, less than 3 seconds usually.
That's the one. Quick recycle keeps the defense scrambling if you can't get that.
Your attack just grinds to a halt.
Completely. And Parsons called that 14% figure brutal. He basically said you just cannot win any game of rugby like that, not even club rugby.
Wow, brutal.
Yeah, it just suffocates the attack, stops any rhythm, like you said, forces errors, bad kicks, penalties at the breakdown. It just wears teams down, physically and mentally.
It really paints a picture, doesn't it? It's not just about beating teams. It's about dismantling how they want to play, which makes Parsons' summary pretty powerful. He said they're a street ahead already in terms of the defensive pressure the Springboks put on teams. And then he added, it is hard to find a fault in them at the moment.
Yeah, and coming from a former All Black, that's That's significant praise. It really highlights that, okay, maybe the opposition wasn't tier 1. But the system they displayed, particularly defensively, looks world-leading right now.
They don't just tackle, they dominate the tackle.
That's the key takeaway.
Okay, and just a reminder, if you're finding this breakdown insightful, make sure you're subscribed to Rugby Obsession. We do these deep dives regularly, covering all the angles. Hit that subscribe button.
Definitely worth it.
So we've established this almost terrifying defensive pressure, but defense is only part of the picture. What about the players themselves, the squad? Parsons also talked about their depth, didn't he?
He absolutely did. And that's, often the real test, especially heading into a tournament like the Rugby Championship. Depth is crucial.
And Rassie Erasmus, the Springbok coach, he's known for focusing on that, isn't he? The whole bomb squad idea.
Exactly. He's famous for it. And it was clear he used these mid-year games to really build and test that depth further. Parsons' take was pretty blunt. He said he was struggling to see any weaknesses across their whole squad.
Struggling to see any weaknesses across the whole squad. That's quite a statement for any international team.
It really is. It wasn't just 1 or 2 positions either. He felt that every position's got so many options.
So it's not just the starting guys, but the backups, and maybe even the guys behind them.
That's the impression. He said they possess a depth and confidence throughout their squad like no other at the moment. And it's that combination, the depth and the confidence. Players coming in know the system, they trust it, and they can perform.
So you don't get that drop-off in performance when changes are made, whether it's injuries or rotation.
That's what Parsons observed. He put it simply. It doesn't matter who they seem to throw out, they can still deliver. Which speaks volumes about the coaching, the system, and the culture. Whether it's a starter, a finisher off the bench, whoever, the standard stays incredibly high. You can't really target a weak link if there isn't one,
Yeah, that makes them incredibly resilient, doesn't it? Both within a game, using that bomb squad impact, and across a whole tournament.
Absolutely. It means they can maintain that physical intensity, that defensive pressure we talked about, for the full 80 minutes, and probably manage player workload better than most teams over several weeks.
Okay, so let's pull this together. What James Parsons is seeing, essentially, are 2 massive strengths for the Springboks right now. First, that incredible defensive pressure, built on winning the collisions, shown by those dominant tackle stats.
Right, suffocating defense.
And second, this extraordinary squad depth, options everywhere, and the confidence that whoever plays can deliver top-level performance.
Yeah, unmatched depth and consistency.
It really does paint a picture of a team that's incredibly well prepared and looking very, very strong heading into the Rugby Championship. Almost daunting for their opponents.
It's a potent combination, no doubt about it. Hard to break down and hard to outlast. That defensive dominance, coupled with the ability to maintain intensity through squad depth, it's a tough proposition for anyone.
Okay, that brings us towards the end of this specific Rugby Obsession deep dive. We've heard the analysis, focusing on James Parsons' view. The Springboks' staggering defensive stats, their collision dominance, and that remarkable squad depth really setting them apart. A clear message sent.
A very clear message.
But we always want to bring you, our listeners, into the conversation. What's your take? Based on what you've seen or what we've discussed today, what stands out most to you about the Springboks right now?
Yeah. Do you agree with Parsons? Or maybe you see something else? Perhaps a potential weakness, a chink in the armor that maybe we haven't touched on.
Let us know your thoughts. We're always keen to hear different perspectives. And here's something to chew on, a final thought. If the Springboks really are operating at this level, with this kind of defensive mastery and depth, what does that actually mean for their rivals in the Rugby Championship? How do teams even start to plan to counter that? What strategies can possibly work against a team that seems, on current form, almost faultless?
It's a massive challenge, isn't it? Where you even try to attack them?
Food for thought. And remember, if you want to stay across all these big talking points, all the analysis in the rugby world, make sure you are subscribed to Rugby Obsession wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Don't miss out.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive. We really appreciate you listening, and we'll look forward to you joining us for our next episode.